Wow, there is so much going on in the news, isn't there? I mean, I thought I'd just pick out a few nuggets that caught my eye. So let's start with Nicola Sturgeon, who called on the English army to try and help her out with a health emergency that's rapidly unfolding before her very eyes in Scotland. So basically, the ambulance service is in crisis and English troops have been called in to come and help. Now, this is just weeks after Nicola Sturgeon secured a coalition with the Greens to push for independence. And this is a crisis that must have really taken a while in the making. So whilst Nicola Sturgeon was focusing on the only thing that she appears to be interested in, independence, the ambulance service was in crisis. I mean, it must have really stuck in her craw to have to ask the English for assistance. I mean, the alternative was, of course, delays, which would lead to sick people waiting for hours for help, and that wouldn't have done her popularity any good at all. She was actually questioned as to why it had taken her so long to ask for help. Well, we know why that is. I mean, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? So Nicola Sturgeon, she was also behind the decision to close the NHS Louisa Jordan Hospital during the pandemic, which a senior doctor claimed was one of the worst decisions made. So if this is an example as to how she's planning to run an independent Scotland, for me, it's just not that impressive. But of the many who actually suffered as a consequence of this crisis was a pensioner who died after having to wait 40 hours for assistance, and a doctor called it a third world service. I spoke to my mother about that. It's just like in Ghana. You will die before someone comes to you. I just can't stand that woman. Break up the union, break up the union, break up the union. She makes my blood boil, God forgive me for my thoughts. She wants to join the EU. You saw what they did to Theresa May and Boris. They will squeeze her like a lemon. Break up the union. Then doesn't she know that the Queen herself is Scottish? God forgive me. I have to go to church and pray. To be honest, I feel sorry for the Scottish people who may not want to to break up the union, but who can they vote for? Let's see how she gets on with the introduction of vaccine passports in a few weeks. That will be interesting. Speaking of which, Wales is launching its COVID pass. And just as I suspected, confirmation of your COVID status will become a norm. It's just a matter of time before England follows suit. I mean, I'm not fussed about carrying one. I don't really see what the outrage. In the words of Chris Whitty, the evidence that they work is rock solid. So do you object to carrying a COVID pass? Let's get on with the show.